Hello and welcome to the Scoundrel Shard, episode 5. Today we're looking at a blue versus green match played earlier this evening. Let's take a look at our opening hand. We have Commander Barzik. Will be really good in the late game, but not very good in the early game. A Ghost Blade, which falls into the same category, but that super time skip in our opening hand we will keep every single time. The super time skip is super powerful. It lets us move both our own minions and our enemy minions around and gives us a 2-1 dude every time we use it. It is absolutely a card we want to keep in every opening hand that we ever see it in. So we're going to send back the other two, and we end up with 2 3-drops. Now, given the decks that we've been playing, that may seem a little bit slow, but it's actually perfectly fine in a blue deck. This deck has a much higher end curve than our other decks, and we're going to spend our early turns not doing quite as much and just trying to set up. We are on what I feel is the safer side of this map. We have a lot to work with in this area, good safety spots, just a whole bunch that works in our favor. We step out and do an early point of ping. He can run down pretty aggressively, as we see him do. This is very, very common for the melee champions. He does play a Tempest Hound, or as it's often known as, the Tempo Hound. I'm not sure how I feel about this play. It does do 3 damage right off the bat. It is probably going to do another 3 damage. 6 damage for free is not too shabby, but the removal that you can use it for oftentimes is a better use of it. It's one of those surprise factor cards. It's almost a removal card more than it is a damage card. But then again, 6 damage in the early game does put your opponent on a little bit of a clock. So if he didn't have a better play, probably the best thing he could do there, but I'm not 100% certain that it's the play I would have made. So we have an Astral Champion in hand. An Astral Champion is a very interesting card. It draws a card, which is wonderful, and then it's a 3/3 that gets plus X, where X is the casting cost of the card that it draws. So it can be very, very large, especially with all of the high casting cost cards that we have in this deck. He did go ahead and attack us for another 3. We traded back with the Rift Trickster. We're holding the Rift Trickster back a little bit. We don't want to just immediately get rid of it. The Rift Trickster allows it to change positions with anything in its line of sight, and that can be used for very, very powerful effects. It can be used for damage bursts, it can be used to save a creature, it can be used sort of as a soul shifter to move somebody out of position and into range of attack. It's something that we want to keep back and use to its utmost when we have the chance. We did throw down the Astral Champion. We got a 3/3, which isn't, the best that we could have gotten out of it, but it's perfectly acceptable. A 6/6 for 4 is nothing too snappy. So I want to look at that Vein Waker that he has there. I find Vein Waker to be a very interesting card, and his original position had it right there, which is very, very cool because it allows him to use it on either that boulder, this boulder, or this boulder, and get different positions on his Tempests depending on where he needs them. So he, in this case, used it on this boulder, which put the Tempest up right in front of us. It's an excellent position. If you were on the other side of the map playing green, on our side, you'd want to put it right here for the exact same reason. Continuing on here, he's moved his Vein Waker out of the way because he did not want to end up in a place where it could be taken down from the Astral Champion moving up like that. But we're going to see a play here with the Rift Trickster like I was talking about earlier. So, we have played our Super Time Skip already, which is very, very... I take that back. Yes, we have played our super... Oh, no, we haven't played our Super Time Skip already. It's in our hand still. So this turn, we run down, we activate the Rift Trickster to move the Vein Waker to where it is, and then we can just run straight down with the Astral Champion and take it out completely, so we don't get any more very cheap Copper Veins. Then we ping the Copper Tempest and bump it out of the way so it's not going to come down and affect us. So our positioning is very, very tight here. He can move down this way and attack, but he takes 5 damage, and we like that. The Copper Tempest can come down and trade, but the Rift Trickster has already taken out 1 minion and facilitated the taking out of a 2nd minion. This is its 3rd trade. That's very, very good for us. So now what he has left is the Quartermaster, which isn't super effective, and us having a 6/4 Astral Champion on the board and a whole handful of gas. You see right now, we still have better card advantage than he has. And one of the things I like about this deck has many ways to draw cards, but it also just has high efficiency, more expensive guys. That means that we can keep our card advantage. If you have a lot of card draw but low curve, you're gonna play multiple dudes a turn and just run out of cards very, very quickly. In this deck, we get to keep many, many options and have good drops every turn. So he moves forward with the Grove Tinder there. Grove Tinder is an interesting card in that it's always a 2-for-1, and I think it's statted aggressively for that. You see that we played the super time skip here so that we could bounce our Astral Champion and then have it in range to where it could walk up. And it spawns a Plague Spore here. Now this is really interesting. The Plague Spore does kill off the Astral Champion. We have a choice to make at this point. So the Plague Spore is going to slowly infect the board, and we have to decide if we can play enough down here that it's going to hurt him more than it helps him. And I decide that I believe that will hurt him, so I'm not going to expend any resources trying to run up and deal with that Plague Spore. We're going to play it entirely from back here. We do have the Super Time Hop, which gives us all sorts of options on positioning. Super Time Hop is one of my favorite cards because it allows us to extend the range of our minions, or to push their minions back and block a square. It is a super versatile card, and it makes us think about positioning, which, as I've talked about in previous episodes, I really believe is the core concept of this game. So the alternate reality here is interesting. It allows us to just immediately take over a 1 or a 2 drop. Okay, so he soul shifts the anomaly that we made with our super time skip earlier to get a 4/4 placed aggressively. His bet that he's making is that he can deal more damage to us than we can to him. That's a hard bet to take, because remember, his ability to drop minions is only for this area, right? So we are able to drop minions more efficiently, and he has kind of trapped himself in here. That, I believe, gives us an extreme advantage in this matchup from here on out. So we played the Penumbra Assassin to clear off his Soul Shifter, which leaves us with 2 guys on the board to his Plague Spore, which is kind of working against him, and the Quartermaster, which is not a super effective minion right now. And this leaves him with not a lot of options. So, as we said earlier, he can't summon deep into our heart except with things with Deep Strike. We have the ability to play aggressively in this zone. He plays the Spirit Binder, and I am more cool on Spirit Binder than I was when I first saw the card. I do not feel like most of the time Spirit Binder is used effectively. To really use Spirit Binder effectively, you actually want to bind something that is already close to your minions, so that you can run up and kill it real quick, because anything that's bound can't attack. This is an interesting case where his healing helps us more than it helps him. So we are going to alternate reality his 1-drop, and alternate reality, I think, at first I thought it was a little overpriced at 4, but then I got to thinking it's sort of both a removal spell and a play a spell at the same time, right? We get to just completely take over a card, and especially when it comes to line of sight issues, that is super advantageous for us. I mean, look at the board state at this point. He has his 2 seedlings, and he is gaining some health, but not as much as he's losing off of it. And we have a wonderful army building up in our side of the map. So at this point, he's got some options. He's still very, very well off on life. 21 life on a melee champion this far into the game is a fantastic place to be. And we're at 19, which is not that great. I mean, it's not horrible. 19 life is definitely a workable position, but it's something that we have to be careful of, which is why you notice that my positioning is so far back. That precise detonation is super interesting because it hurt his own minions, it hurt his own champion, but it cleared off 2 of our guys, put one of them at 1 health, and did 4 damage to us. Probably worth it. But you can tell that he is playing from a position of compromise at this point, and that plague is spreading in towards him. That use of the Tempo Hound is exactly as I think Tempo Hound should be used. He was able to clear out something. He's got the Tempo Hound that can attack again, and he's got the Spirit Binder. This does not look like great position for us all of a sudden. We are in kind of a hurting way. But we can deal 2 damage there. We have a spell that lets us deal another 2 damage and draw a card next turn, which is awesome. We're going to go ahead and put the Spirit Fetters on the Spirit Binder, which means it can't move. And it's a weird form of removal in that, you know, if we let anything get too close to it, it's still going to die. And you're always kind of wondering, should I wait for a bigger guy to play this on? But I think you have to be careful when you get into that mode of thought. You have to press your advantage when you have it. And this, again, completely changes the tempo of the map. He can't move up to aggress on our minion, and he started taking damage from his own plague at this point. We're ahead in the life total race, and so he's got to make some big dramatic play now in order to really put us in a painful position. In the meantime, we have the Ghost Blade, which is very wonderful for clearing out attacking, especially when combined with Super Time Skip, because we can make sure that we can grab one of their minions and pull them into range on our turn so that we don't have to risk the Ghost Blade being attacked. We can maximize the value we get on its attack without being counterattacked. Now he plays the Tiny Island Freya here, which looks super bad for us. 2 attacks from the Tiny Island Freya, and we're dead. And this, I think, is a play that really shows the flexibility of the blue decks. So we're going to play a Soul Shifter at the edge of our play range to move the Tiny Island Freya completely out of our range. So now the Tiny Island Freya isn't in our range of attack. It's not threatening us at this point, and in fact we have a 4/4 threatening him. Additionally, we have line of sight on it, so we can use our Super Time Skip to push him into the goop, which puts him a whole nother turn out of range. And because the Spirit Binder is locked in that place, rooted, he has to walk all the way around this way. And so it gives us all the time in the world to set up lethal against an 11 health opponent. I really like how much control the blue decks have in placement on the map. Now, we did lose our 2/1 that was generated off the Super Time Skip, but the positioning advantage we get out of it is so advantageous that it's a trade we make with no problem whatsoever. And now we are in very solid board position. So he does 2 to the face to put us both at 11, but he can't outrun all of the minions on the board. So what he has to do is try and play deep strike minions in such a way that he can keep from dying. Now, the Fate Linker does relieve the pressure of that plague that was coming down, but I think that's okay for us. Too much more and it would have been affecting us, and all of us are at low life, and we have superior board position right now. That Lokri Nightshade, I think he was hoping that Lokri... I think he forgot the Lokri Nightshade only has poison when it is when it's next to his champion, and I think that is why he moved up there. I think he thought he was going to be able to kill it off. I think that was just a misplay. But as it is, so now I'm trying to find a way to deal the last bit of damage. So I super time hop the Soul Shifter over and deal 4 damage to put him at 4. But I don't have a good way to get that last 4 damage in. So I don't want the Tiny Island Finya coming up and hurting us. And I do want to make sure I have lots of dudes on the board so that I can super time hop one of them into place for the kill next turn. So I play our commander Barzik to get 3 dudes. I know that the Spirit Binder is probably going to attack into one of them, but that's fine. He can't attack any of them. He has to either hope that they take damage from his new Plague Seedling, or some other way for him to avoid lethal. Again, we are in super strong position right now. So he runs up, and we've got to see what is his last attempt to try and save his life here. Now I will say his positioning of the Plague Seedling is much stronger. I mean, that's right smack dab in our area. If that goes too long, we're not going to be able to play anything until we take care of it. I mean, we could run up and kill it with the Weave Breaker, assuming that it doesn't plague into the Weave Breaker this turn. But one way or another, it's really hurting us. So he is taking his time, considering his options. I honestly don't remember what we have. Okay, he Spirit Binders the Commander Barzak. So, and then kills this off with the Tiny Island Finya, but his Spirit Binder only has 3 attack. So he can attack in to the Bodyguard with Tiny Island Finya, but thanks to Super Time Hop, we have no difficulty at all finishing this off. So we run up here just because we can, do 1 extra point of damage. We realize that we should have... Oh, we do have line of sight to Super Time Hop. Super Time Hop the Bodyguard over, and there's our last points of damage. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Scoundrel Shard. I hope it helps you think about positioning in your games, because that's really the core of blue decks, and blue is super popular right now. Just all the positioning tricks that you can do and all the ways that you can find to extend your range or to foil an opponent, and using those efficiently to gain an advantage even when they're pushing in aggressively. Thank you very much for listening, and have a great day.